In this episode, we talk about a moment in Black history that every nerd and gamer should appreciate.
Apparently, self-loathing is quite lucrative. It only costs your soul.
DC's Robin makes the young queer kid in me squee with delight.
Helena Bonham Carter should stick to talking from a script.
Welcome to Full Circle, the podcast.
Coming to you from the dining room table at East Barbary Lane, welcome to another episode of Full Circle, the podcast. A weekly visit to our home where we squeeze a few headlines through our decidedly queer lens and see what happens. This episode is brought to you by Decanted Jug Wine and Queer Exhaustion.
I am your host, Charles Tyson Jr.
And I'm your host, Martha Madrigal. Welcome to the Full Circle table. Hey.
Hi.
Howdy.
How are you?
Tired. I mean, I'm really, I'm just existentially tired. I'm actually rested.
Right.
Yeah.
I was going to say, you went to bed early last night.
I went to bed early, hydrated, with Tylenol in my system.
Right.
Because, I was busy yesterday.
Yes, you were.
I was doing physical things.
Yes, you were being a butch lady.
And, yes, with my butch lady shoes. I have steel-toed sneakers, with hot pink trim. They're fun.
Yeah, your butch lady shoes.
Butch lady shoes.
And they're cute.
They're a little heavy as shoes go, but good for working. Which I was doing.
Good for working.
Yeah, I sat down to Transway, and I realized the Tylenol was in the living room, and so I got up and walked into the living room, came back with a bottle of progesterone, just because I was so tired, and I'm like, well, this isn't gonna help.
No.
And then I had to get back up, and it kind of hurt. So it took a second, and I was just achy yesterday.
Thereby confirming you needed the Tylenol
I
that
really
you got
did.
it for in the first place.
I really did. Yeah, by the time I went to bed, I just slept. I think I slept 9 hours or something.
I
It was
stayed
good,
up and
though.
watched movies.
Good for you. I think there was nothing I cared about.
I mean, I was just
But
excited.
bed.
So
I was like, okay, I have queered enough today.
Right.
I'm just done.
I was too wired to sleep.
Well, you were all happy
Yeah,
because you were affirmed yesterday.
I was. Things are happening.
Mm-hmm. Good things are happening.
Good things are happening.
Which, we don't need to tell them about it right now because it didn't happen yet.
Exactly.
But, yeah, it was a good day for you.
Thank you.
I was busy. Working. Up and down a ladder.
Working and working it.
Yeah.
Shall we get into the podcast business real quick?
Yeah, do that.
Okay. So if you have not yet, please take the time to rate, review, and subscribe to Full Circle, the podcast, wherever you listen to and enjoy your podcasts. Drop us a line at askfullcirclepod@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. Follow us on our social, Full Circle Pod on Twitter, Full Circle the Pod on Instagram, and Full Circle the Podcast on TikTok. You can follow Martha. Her socials are I'm Martha Madrigal everywhere. Her writing is at iammarthamadrigal.wordpress.com. I am at Neverscared everywhere, or you can just visit our link tree. It's all there. Become a patron of Full Circle the Podcast through our Patreon. Patreon.com/Full Circle the Pod. Starting at the $3 tier, you can get all of our episodes ad-free and before everyone else. And then from the $6 tier on up, you get access to other fun things like behind the scenes and bonus material. It's fun over there at Patreon. And you can also become part of our Discord channel, because that's where the stuff really goes down. And that is our podcast business. Done.
You really should record that so you don't have to do that every single time live.
But I like it.
I don't know if they realize you do that every single time.
It gives me something to do.
I'll give you something to do. I mean, you're getting better and better at it, but I'm just saying you could just drop it in and that would be,
I could, but then that's not as
because it already has
organic.
music behind it, which I love. I appreciate the music. I do. I realize now why some commercials have music behind them. It just makes it more palatable or something. I don't know.
You know,
And it's fun.
I do what I do.
I know. I'm just, I was just looking out for you.
I appreciate you.
So, if you are listening, we are recording on Friday, December the 2nd.
Yes.
Friday's like becoming recording day. I don't want to codify it because, it's just how it's worked out.
Yeah. Well,
Last week was totally because I drugged my feet and Thanksgiving. But then, yeah, this week has just been because it's busy.
yeah.
Because there's been stuff going on and stuff we've been committed to do all week. And so we didn't get to actually sit down.
Right.
Plus, you got to have the right headspace. Well, I do.
Right.
So we never have another Surly Shirley episode.
Yeah, we don't want that.
There's this one that will never be released during my lifetime where
I might have deleted it actually.
I hope you did. It was just I was just not in a place, and it wasn't my it wasn't my little normal, I don't know, Dorothy Parker stuff. It was just surly. I was just not in a good place, and I would it was just bad. It was bad. It was a bad episode.
Mm-hmm.
And I listened to it and I'm like, oh no, please don't show this.
Right.
And we re-recorded that week. I think that's the only time that's ever happened.
I mean, I went back into our cloud storage, and I went back to listen to the episodes that we made before we decided to actually publish them so people could hear them,
Mm-hmm.
with the idea of maybe we could give it to our Patreon people and they could have like some child. Halfway through the first episode, I was like, "Ooh, no, this is not good."
No. See, that's a
not
bull,
good.
but right. But practice is how you get to Carnegie Hall.
Yeah, we
Not that this is Carnegie Hall. It's
we
still the dining room, but
got better.
no, but I'm actually I'm glad our lack of discipline actually works, for the listener,
Right.
Because if we we tried to do that, and if we were like 2:00 on Sunday, we will record for 9 to. This show would not be as listenable as it is, and I even listen to us, so I think it's pretty listenable.
Right.
But I don't know that I would if that was the case, because, life.
Right.
It is not easy being green these days.
Right. I mean, I'd like
Ugh.
to get us to a point where we can regiment our
I know.
a little
Well,
bit
yeah.
more.
I mean, but we're regimented enough. As long as we're out once a week.
Yeah, we promise that
I mean, we're out every day. That's the problem. That's why I'm exhausted.
we do promise you all that you will hear from us every week, and that is a promise that we have always delivered.
We have kept that promise.
Yes.
Right. Ooh, I just can't promise you which day.
Right.
I want to.
Right.
Know that I want to.
Which is why you should subscribe to us so that whenever that episode drops, you will get it in your
Yes,
feed.
you will know. You will know the moment it is out there. And folks, I mean, because there's this jump of listeners when we do release a new thing. It's like that's a larger and larger crowd, which I love. It's kind of fun to watch.
Yeah,
I don't watch it as obsessively as you, but
Well, yeah. But yeah, we have listeners in Pakistan.
love that.
Hey, Pakistan.
Yo, love it.
Right?
I love that. It's cool.
It is cool.
It's cool.
I'm
yeah.
a fan.
Why not?
So what's up with us? Besides
I mean-
being tired and busy.
I mean, there's dead celebrities this week.
There are.
Should we get those out of the way? I never know where to put those, but
Yeah, I was trying to.
yeah,
postpone
Christine
it.
McVeigh and Irene Cara before that.
Yeah, Irene Cara died. That made me very sad.
Yeah.
I've been a fan of Irene Cara like my entire life,
Right.
pretty much.
Right.
You know, I still need to rewatch Fame. I have to dig out the VHS tape. Like she was just,
We have that here.
we do. She was just a legit talent. She could sing and dance and act, and she was just fierce.
Triple threat.
Yeah. And I remember I told you this about 10, 15 years ago or so. There was one of those summer reality shows that comes and goes, and it was like Second Chance or something like that, where they bring a bunch of like divas to compete against each other in a singing competition and against like newer up and coming people.
Mm-hmm.
and Irene Cara was on. Patti LaBelle was also on. And I was like, why does Patti LaBelle need a second chance? She's still doing her first chance. But whatever. I'm not going to get too deep. And when they voted off Irene Cara, I was personally offended. And she was going like episode 3. I was like, what are y'all doing?
No.
You know, that's when I lose. Because, you know, it was when the American public can vote on who stays on a show. I'm like, I can't count on the American public's vote for anything, apparently.
See, there's your first problem.
That's why I stopped watching So You Think You Can Dance when they sent home Will that season. I will never get over it.
I remember that. Like, nope. I've lost faith in. Well, taste is subjective.
Yeah. Apparently.
And the lack of taste, not so much.
Exactly.
But, you know, she could be not everyone's cup of tea, but yeah, she's gone young too, like 63.
Yeah.
Damn. That is younger and younger every day.
I know.
Christine McVie was, I think, 79.
Okay. Yeah, talk to me about her, because Fleetwood Mac was not necessarily in my...
She was in Fleetwood Mac.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not, like, you know, she's well known and well loved, clearly by the, you know, a certain segment of my Facebook population, but not someone I knew well.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I knew
I
the
like
name.
their songs. I mean, I don't stop thinking about tomorrow. You know, like there's songs of Fleetwood Mac that I like.
Yeah, same. There's plenty of Fleetwood Mac songs that I like. I don't know if I would say I'm a fan, but I can't say I'm not a fan because there's too many songs I like.
So you just like grabbed me up with that, because I thought it would be like, you know, like when I say "Go Eagles." I thought we all assumed, like, I don't know the stats. I don't know, like, I don't. It's not a thing. It's not a thing, but it seems that when you say her name, most people of a certain age know exactly who you mean.
Right.
And they have like stories to tell about what she meant to them. And I don't have to say a word, but I don't know.
Oh, okay.
She was the blonde and Fleetwood Mac.
Well, you were more of a Fleetwood Mac fan than me, so I figured.
Well, as it goes.
Oh, okay.
As it goes, yeah. I had cassette tapes.
Okay.
Well, that was the Columbia Records thing.
You still owe them their penny, don't you?
No, you had to tape the penny to the initial thing.
Yes, you tape the penny, and then they send you like
6 or 8
albums.
or 12 or 14 or whatever, but then you agree to buy X number a year
for like $11,000 a piece.
Well, they were like $10 or something. They were like sort of normal price, but shipped to your door.
Right.
They were onto something. And it was like one of those early things that you had to actively cancel.
Yep.
You know, or it kept happening.
Yep.
And say, well, apparently it was a model for the future, because now everything's like that.
Yep. I did enjoy my Columbia House CD collection in college.
Yeah, this was before CDs.
Yeah.
This was I can tell you when I had it. It would have been 1982.
Okay.
Because it would have been when I got my driver's license.
Oh, I definitely
remember. Because once I had a car. Actually, it was once I had a car with a cassette player, so probably 1983, that I sent my penny in because I was like, ooh, I can get cassettes and play them in my car.
Right.
Fabulous.
I remember that. You get your however many albums for a penny, and then you go, you'll get your money when you get it.
Well, and a lot of people did that. I mean, I guess the numbers worked in their favor because they did it for years and years and years.
Right.
It started with, albums.
Yep.
Vinyl, which is coming back.
I can't imagine getting as many albums in the mail at the same time.
Or maybe it started with 8-track tapes.
As CDs that I bought. Because I used to get them like 3 and 4 at a time.
I don't know.
Because record albums got heavy.
My sister did it and got 8-track tapes. That's how I knew that it was actually a thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We
I don't know.
we had an 8-track in our stereo growing up. I associate 8 tracks with Journey because that was the album that I used to listen to a lot of my sisters. Journey.
Mm. Okay.
Don't stop believing in all that.
Yeah. Yep. I know who they are. Now don't quiz me, okay? I know who they are.
Wasn't. I was just saying, Journey.
Yes. Yes.
So what else is up with us?
Well, we worked together this weekend. Well, we worked together twice. So the first thing, which I don't know, did we talk about that? We did talk about this last week, but we had our first recording of the Christmas panto.
Oh yeah,
with Medway Pride. I still don't know what a panto is, but
hey Medway Pride,
I have lines.
Yeah,
It's because nobody else wanted them. I have lines. We have lines. It was fun. So first half done in the can, second half happening this coming week, and
Yep.
I think it will be fun once it's all edited together.
we had fun doing it.
Yeah, there are pantos happening. Like Theater Exile has a panto.
Really?
Yeah, I just saw it on like Facebook.
We'd never heard of this shit before, like 6
I
months
know,
ago,
and
and now they're everywhere.
And one of the kids last night, who I believe was raised in New Zealand, was just talking about a panto that just happened, but here, somewhere in the city, and I was like, "Huh,
That's
you know
so
what that
funny.
is too,
Right?"
He actually called it a pantomime, which
Well,
is what
yeah.
a panto is.
Yeah.
Evidently.
Yeah.
Unless you put it on the radio, then you have to talk. And maybe pantomime doesn't mean what I thought it meant. I don't even know. I thought those were silent.
I don't be knowing.
Yeah, me either.
But
Yeah,
yeah.
it's been fun.
It has
And then
been
we
fun.
both worked at the Performance Garage this weekend.
Yes, I hired you.
I know. I know. I was the house manager for Kulamele.
You did a good job too.
Fantastic African dance and drum troupe.
Yes, Kulumele is the real deal.
Mm-hmm.
They are a world-renowned West African dance and drum ensemble, and it's always a pleasure to see them perform. And I got to sit and work with them for 3 days.
Yeah, I was mostly checking people in and organizing seats because there were 2 sold-out performances. And,
Yeah,
like that. But it was fun. It was a fun weekend.
it was a fun weekend. I'm glad we did it.
Yeah.
And it was nice working with you.
It was nice working with you too, even though I didn't see you the whole time.
Right, but it was like
You were in the booth.
I was able to be completely comfortable knowing that things were being handled and I didn't have to worry about it.
Well, there you go. That's how I do.
Yes,
It was fun. We had a good time.
we did.
We should get on to good news because we're back to regular format this week, and we have a good fair amount.
We do.
Oh, good. Yeah, we dug out like 2 last week, and we're like,
We assumed there would be
Here's
more
what-
organically.
here's what you got. We gotta go.
Right.
Yeah, it's just
Sometimes.
Anyway,
So-
why don't you kick off good news?
Okay. So I want to start with a fierce moment in Black history that I was unaware of until yesterday. So yesterday was December 1st, which would have been the birthday of one Jerry Lawson, who has been called the father of the video game cartridge, which, so if you're a gamer, you have Jerry Lawson.
Or a gamer.
You have Jerry Lawson to thank. So in 1970, he joined the Fairchild Semiconductor in San Francisco as an applications engineering consultant. And while there, he created an early coin-operated arcade game called Demolition Derby in his garage. And it was completed in early 1975 using Fairchild's new F8 microprocessors, and it was among the earliest microprocessor-driven games. And then after that, in the mid 1970s, Mr. Lawson was made chief hardware engineer and director of engineering and marketing for Fairchild's video game division, and that is where he created his Fairchild Channel F console, which was supposed to be, the biggest thing in console gaming. Not so much, but he was able to take what he learned and develop the software that became removable cartridges that could be removed and inserted repeatedly into a console without any danger of electric shocks. And this became what ended up being the Atari 2600.
Oh, wow.
Which was my introduction to video gaming. And
mine was Pong.
Okay.
Go ahead, though.
Yeah, same idea. And also, what was interesting, he was Mr. Lawson and Ron Jones were the sole black members of the Homebrew Computer Club, a group of early computer hobbyists that included several who became well known, including Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak. Interesting factoid.
Okay.
So, yeah, if you played a video game in your life, then you should thank one Mr. Jerry Lawson, whose birthday was December 1st, 1940. And that is an interesting moment in both Black history and nerd culture at the same time.
There we go. Thank you for that. That's
You're
fun.
welcome.
So I'm putting this statement in good news for a reason.
Okay.
With everything that happened in Colorado Springs, and Trans Day of Remembrance being the next day, I had skipped over, and I'm coming back to Nancy Pelosi's statement. And yes, it's about MAGA Republicans, but in the aftermath of the shooting, the Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives made a statement. And, that's what I don't want to have pass. That, this very important person in our government, like her or not, I don't care if you do,
right?
But said some powerful words. And I think that this is important. And I think these are the moments we do need to acknowledge happening.
Okay.
What she said was, whether spouting dangerous rhetoric from cable news desks or openly bullying school children from the halls of power, MAGA Republicans are cruelly undermining the safety and well-being of our transgender community. She also touted House Democrats' work enacting fully inclusive federal hate crimes protections with the historic Matthew Shepard and James Byrd Jr. Hate Crimes Prevention Act. She concluded, heartbroken for so many beautiful souls murdered by hate and guided by relentless activists across the country, let us renew our resolve to build the future that our children deserve. Together we will forge a safer, more just America, one where all of its people can freely and proudly exercise their right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And in a separate statement that focused on Club Q, she did call it despicable. Our hearts break at the senseless slaughter of 5 beautiful souls and the many more injured or forever traumatized at what was a sanctuary of safety and solidarity. Pelosi said the attack contributed to further shattering the sense of safety of LGBTQ Americans across the country. While Democrats have taken important steps to combat gun violence this Congress, this deadly attack is a challenge to our conscience and a reminder that we must keep fighting to do more. Thank you to the heroic individuals who stopped the gunman and to the brave first responders at the scene. May it be a comfort to the loved ones of those murdered and the Colorado Springs community that all of America mourns with them during this devastating time. There were also statements, of course, from AOC and others. My point is that we are being recognized and mentioned at the highest levels of the American government.
Yeah.
Yes, I want them to do more. Yes, I want, action behind these words. I want far more than thoughts and prayers. But I've been alive long enough to remember when no one said the word transgender.
Well,
Certainly not in Congress, and certainly not on the floor, and certainly not in public statements. So, I just, it was something I had skipped over, but something I thought was important to take note of. And it's good news. It's good news. We're not going to hear those words come January when the Republicans take the House with a very slim majority. We won't hear affirmation for a while out of that side, but hopefully we will continue to hear it from the Senate and the White House. So, just watch the contrast, folks. But I put it in good news because that's important. As the rhetoric is being stepped up by this minority of very vocal, very hateful people, we also have the ear of important people.
Indeed.
And we've got to keep using that ear.
Exactly. Take and use your allies, yeah.
What's next?
Well, this just made my queer kid heart jump up and down and squee and clap his hands.
Mm-hmm.
So on the newest cover of Tim Drake Robin.
As in Batman and?
Okay. We see Robin in a kiss with his boyfriend that he has as part of the canon. See.
Alrighty.
So Tim Drake is the current iteration of Robin. And in the story, he's been dating Bernard Dowd, who is his boyfriend, for about a year. And it was very cute because Bernard and Tim in the story were like on a little date. And then Bernard gets in trouble and Robin has to rescue him. And Bernard is telling Robin how Tim helped him to come out and how, he has all these feelings. And Robin's like, really? Well, let me tell you something.
Oh my.
It's very cute. And on the cover, it's all like they're on the rooftop and Robin's cape is flowing in the wind and it's surrounding them both as they're kissing under the moonlight. And again, my
you were squeeing.
7-year-old me is just like, yay, because I couldn't kiss Robin when I was a kid, even though I wanted to.
There's that.
Someone should, damn it.
You kiss Robin now, you're going to have some splaining to do.
For a bunch of reasons.
Oh, my. So, I hesitated on you putting this one in good news because, it's defacing property. But in this case...
Can we put under Schadenfreude?
I'm all for it. Yeah, it is Schadenfreude. Oh, in a big way. With a capital S.
Or file it under or. Because...
No, they can afford to scrub it.
Exactly. So, notorious...
And God knows they probably already have.
Notorious anti-LGBTQ hate group. Focus on the family.
Don't ask me. Ask the Southern Poverty Law Center.
They had their headquarters defaced in the wake of the tragedy at Club Q. A group called Colorado People's Press claimed responsibility for spray painting the phrase, "Their blood is on your hands, 5 lives taken."
Yep.
On their sign on the wall of their headquarters.
Well, and I'm sorry, that is true.
Yeah.
That's just true.
And what took me out was a representative for Focus on the Family had the nerve to fix their face and say, "We recognize the community is hurting in the aftermath of the reckless and violent actions of a very disturbed individual. This is a time for prayer, grieving, and healing, not vandalism and the spreading of hate. Fuck each and every one of you and everyone that lives in your house."
Well, when you say that me and mine are not even human,
right?
We do not deserve rights. You call us groomers and pedophiles. I'm sorry. What do you expect? Like
right.
you soak it with gas and you throw a match at it, and then you want to pray for me. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm not saying that we should.
Sorry about your wall.
We should meet their hate with acts of vandalism. I'm just saying,
Yeah, it was a
fuck
good
your
one.
wall. That's all I'm saying.
And it,
Fuck your wall.
it was good. It was not name calling. It was just the truth.
Right.
And let them scrub their bricks.
Exactly. It's the first truth that actually encountered that building and since its inception, I'm sure.
So the good news is,
Fuck their wall.
okay.
That's all. I said it's under Schadenfreude.
That's fair. That's fair. We should expand this segment of the show to good news and Schadenfreude.
Right. Now this, it energized me a little bit. So, in Russia, they are basically waiting for the countdown for a law to be passed.
Or enacted.
Enacted,
I think it already passed.
Right. That will basically toughen legislation against quote unquote lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender propaganda. It's going to create an even more dangerous environment for LGBTQ people in Russia. A response to this is a museum of LGBTQ culture was opened in St. Petersburg. It opened its doors on November 27th. We'll see how long it gets to stay open.
Right. But it's there.
It's there. And, but basically, it acknowledges the fact that part of the goal of this new law is to erase the history and the culture and basically the existence of LGBT people. And
yeah, much like what's happening in America with school boards and book banning.
Correct. And there are all kinds of...
And laws.
Right. There are all kinds of statues and jewelry and pictures that, display the historical presence of queer people in Russia. And, it's a museum that was opened as an act of resistance. I find that amazing.
Well, we're not going anywhere. We don't cease to exist just because you make laws against us, treat us inhumanely, beat us, celebrate when our bars are shot up. We still don't go away.
Right.
We're still right here. All of us.
LGBT activist and historian Pyotr Voskrensky got the idea of creating his own museum upon visiting the home of Tchaikovsky, Pyotr Tchaikovsky, the historic composer, which apparently was scrubbed of any trace of his personal life and his gayness and queerness. That's what prompted him to open this museum, because we can't be erased, we can't be ignored, we can't be forgotten.
Well,
you know,
they keep trying.
There, and this, all the things in the museum, this is what's interesting to me, are from his personal collection.
I love that.
About 36 artifacts, including decorative items, jewelry, books that he collected over many years. And he aims to demonstrate that there have been gays in Russia for centuries. Traditional values are more than just large monogamous families. Queer people fit in there as well.
Yeah, we always have. We have to make our own place, but yes, we do.
Yes. So I just thought that was an interesting reaction.
It is.
And I love it.
I do too.
Yeah.
So a record 120 cities get a perfect score on the LGBTQ plus equality index.
Right. Yeah. And
this is HRC's index, right?
Yes. And Philadelphia is on that list.
Yes, they are.
So that number is
so
up.
Clearly you can fudge your numbers.
Stop.
Go ahead.
That number is up from 110 in the 2021 index, and just 11. It was only 11 in its inaugural year
of 2012.
In 2012, illustrating the striking advancements municipalities have made, despite some being in states that have seen increased extremist-led anti-LGBTQ plus rhetoric and legislation,
right.
Which comes from their HRC's press release.
Right, and the index is created in partnership with the Equality Federation Institute.
Yes, and it rates cities based on their anti-discrimination laws, benefits for public employees, and other factors that contribute to a positive climate for LGBTQ plus people.
Awesome.
120 cities.
Awesome. Yeah, Rehoboth Beach is on that list. Population 1,327, which is Rehomo.
Right. Yeah.
If you were a local queer, Rehomo is Rehoboth Beach in Delaware.
Yep.
Which has a large queer population in the summertime and the wintertime too.
Right. I was gonna say.
Yeah.
You can be gay inside too.
And they are. And they are. 187 cities have trans-inclusive healthcare benefits for municipal employees, which is up from 181 just a year ago. So 6 more. Dublin, Ohio.
I didn't know there was a Dublin, Ohio.
I didn't either. Its city council enacted an inclusive municipal non-discrimination law last year, and the city has added 2 LGBTQ plus liaison positions. Our vision is to be the most sustainable, connected, and resilient global city of choice for all. Well, you're in Ohio, honey. Mayor Jane Fox wrote in the report, but good on you. I reach for the stars.
Exactly.
Yeah, reach for the stars, but you are in Ohio. Yeah. So good stuff. That's good news. And it points to a positive trend.
Right.
And, that's Brian Sims, who, as we know, he is a personal friend, who lost his bid for election as the lieutenant governor. And he was a 10-year state legislator, the first openly gay elected in Pennsylvania.
Yep.
Brian is moving on to be, I believe, the policy director or executive director of government policy and communication, something like that, for Leadership Out, which is really an organization that focuses on business.
Right. That's a big deal.
It is a big deal, and, it's a big deal to me personally because we do need allies. We do.
Yep.
And
everywhere we can get them.
We talked about Trans in the City, which is in the UK, which is working to highlight the amazing contributions of trans people. In Philadelphia and in the Delaware Valley, we have Trans Work doing a similar specific thing for trans people. But I love that, Brian is moving on to a national, policy position, really kind of focusing on business and how business can stand with us and behind us and create better policies, because it helps to create a better world and it helps to set an example. Yeah. So even if we have some governmental challenges across this nation,
which we do,
organizations like that are critically important. So just that made me think of it.
Fabulous.
You're going to have to take this one because I don't even know what it's about. I can't even read the headline right. Stanford mocks BYU, which is Brigham Young University's anti-LGBTQ plus policies in gay chicken skit.
Yes.
I didn't read that word as skit either, so it took me like 3 times reading through the headline to know what we were even talking about. But why don't you
gay
take
chicken
this one?
Shit?
Because
I'm
you
not
put it
lie,
there, so explain it. Yeah, I'm like, how do they know it's gay chicken shit?
Well, first of all right, I'm going to preface this by saying I have a little bit of an issue with the whole gay chicken concept.
Okay.
It started off as
that's what they used to call Twinks, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I guess that is what, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, gay chicken at one point was my favorite genre of porn, but...
That's a thing?
Yeah, okay. In the context of that...
Meaning
it's like,
Twinks or no?
Well, you take 2 straight guys...
Oh, and they play chicken?
Right. It's like, they do gay shit until, like, and they get closer and closer together until one of them backs away. But the really good ones, they never back away. So it's like...
So you're 20s.
Yes.
Okay.
But no, it would be like,
I didn't know you like that, but I knew you.
right? Does it bother you if I'm this close? No. This close? No. Put my hand here? No. Here? Like that until, they're blowing each other.
Yeah, I know where this goes.
Right.
Etc.
Anyway.
Etc.
Anyway. So that's what is typically referred to as gay chicken.
I've always wondered. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right.
It doesn't make you gay. It just feels good.
I told you about the time we overheard a couple of dude bros and one said to the other,
"No homo."
He said, "Dude, it's not gay. He gave me the blowjob."
Yeah, and they mean that.
I know.
Yeah, they mean that. Yeah.
I hope they stretched before they did that reach. You might hurt yourself.
No kidding.
Anyway. Damn it.
If I had a nickel, we wouldn't have a mortgage.
I'd have at least $1.75.
So, where is Stanford in this entire conversation?
So, Stanford University had to apologize for a skit that was performed by its band at a football game this past weekend against Brigham Young University. The band, officially known as the Leland Stanford Junior University Marching Band, performed a halftime skit entitled Gay Chicken that featured two women getting married and kissing and using terms common in marriages performed by the Mormon Church.
Ew.
Yes.
Okay.
At one point.
So it was clever too.
Right. At one point, the actors were going, "Stacy, will you make me the happiest woman in the world and be my wife?" And, "Oh my gosh, yes, yes, yes." And the big phrase was, "Be my wife for time and all eternity," which is the line
that's
that
their
apparently,
phrase. Yeah.
So Brigham Young didn't like that.
I imagine.
And apparently, this is not the first time that they've punked Brigham Young.
Oh.
I mean, they've only been there like once before.
Oh.
And they
But they bring it each time. We brought some seasoning for you.
They did. During the previous game played in 2004, the Stanford band performed a skit that featured 5 women wearing wedding rings and veils and a jab at the practice of polygamy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a wonder they came back.
It's a wonder they were even invited back. And maybe that's like, well, fool me once, but
right.
Duh. So Stanford said, "Oops, sorry." Is that what happened?
Yeah, we're sorry you're mad. I mean,
we're sorry you're backward too.
Exactly. So I have issues with the phrase "gay chicken," but I don't have issues with Stanford for punking homophobes. Don't have a problem with that. Good job, Stanford.
And you don't even have a lot of issues with the phrase, really. Okay.
Well,
just saying.
Yeah, let me shut up.
I mean, I'll be right here either way. So, you done?
I am.
Okay. Okay. So the marriage equality bill that basically codifies the Obergefell decision into law in the United States has passed the Senate.
Woohoo!
So it had already passed the House, and then the Senate added some religious bullshit to get, up to 62 votes or whatever they got. And it has to go back to the House. But anyway, it did pass the Senate with its little amendment, except for Miss Lindsey Graham, who voted no. Okay, honey. Yeah, I just want to rent them. I don't want to buy them. So tell me more. This is from out.com. Yes, I'm feeding the rumors about Lindsey Graham being a closeted homosexual.
Miss Lindsay.
Yes, I am.
Hey.
Just because still have ice. But go ahead.
Was it Lindsey Graham with the ladybugs?
Is there a sex thing that happens? Like, what are you talking about?
A rent boy had described moles or something, and
I don't.
he called them my ladybugs. You don't remember that?
I don't. I would think I would remember because I've so often said, where are the rent boys? Where Lindsey Graham is concerned, they must be that well paid.
Hey,
because you'd think there'd be more.
Well, that was a rumor, but I believe that was in connection to Lindsey Graham. Yes.
My ladybugs. Yeah. Well, whatever. Anything comes out that's verifiable. Again, this is my one exception to the rule, children. This is it. If there is someone waiting in the wings to out Lindsey Graham's, I'm here for it.
I know that's right.
I am. If you're going to make laws, we have another self-loather to talk about in this episode, in the cavalcade. But, if you are a self-loathing member of the LGBTQ plus community, closeted or otherwise, who makes laws against us, fights against us, preaches from the pulpit about us,
yep,
while you sleep with us,
yep,
all bets are off, honey. All of them.
Mm-hmm. Gonna come for that ass.
Yeah, and I'm thinking in the era of smartphones.
Right.
I wonder if Miss Lindsay carries those silver bags. You know what I mean? Like you have to lock your phone in. I'm gonna pay you, but you tuck the money in with your phone. I'm gonna keep this key on my wrist till we're done.
Right.
I wonder if that happens.
I wonder if you can make a camera small enough to fit into a nipple piercing.
Maybe. Don't they have them in like Google? That Google Lens thing never took off, did it?
No.
It's a shame.
Yeah.
And who keeps their glasses on?
Well, people that are into nerd play.
Okay. Well, there you go. Well, I don't know. I don't even want to imagine what Lindsey Graham might be into.
Yeah, really.
Anyway, despite that vote, the Senate voted 61 to 36 this Tuesday to pass the Respect for Marriage Act.
Hallelujah.
And, I'm just going to say, if you think we don't have power as a community, check it. We do. We have some.
Right.
Especially the white gays. Just saying.
Find the lie.
But, I mean, it is equality for all same-sex couples, and it, codifying it into law is important right now because we don't really have a Supreme Court.
Right.
So, this is good.
And
it's good news.
The same
it's good
law
news.
that also will go on to protect interracial marriages.
Yeah, and thank you for that, because...
Right.
Yeah.
Because...
That matters here.
It matters for us, and then also it's like, oh, well, would that make me illegitimate?
Well, right, it mattered for your parents too. Yeah, thank you. Exactly. Yeah. So apparently, we have to have these laws right now because our Supreme Court has lost their ever-loving minds.
I know that's right.
And good on us for doing this. And it had already passed the House, and then they added in the amendment. Religious freedom, bullshit. But this will go to Biden's desk. He will sign it. It will be law. The Supreme Court can't touch it. And, if it wasn't for Clarence Thomas and the other one running their mouths about going after Oberfeld next, this probably wouldn't be necessary. But it is, and good. And good. Good.
Uncle Thomas.
I
said it.
What's next? Oh, I just read this morning. The FDA is planning once again to loosen restrictions on gay and bisexual men donating blood.
I saw that.
So, for those of you who are unaware, in the United States, gay men haven't been able to donate blood for decades. Because of the HIV/AIDS crisis. That was our 15-year pandemic.
It's been 30 years for me.
Yeah. And they loosened the restriction, but we still technically could not give blood because what it said was male identified gay and bisexual people could give blood if they were celibate.
Right.
So even if you were in a monogamous relationship, even if you were very low risk, you still couldn't give blood. So the FDA plans to loosen that rule, and good. And it's still ridiculous and condescending and horrific, because you could literally be selling and using crack on the street, fucking anything behind a dumpster that would have you.
Thank you.
As long as you identified as heterosexual, and they would still accept your blood donation.
Thank you.
But we could not honestly go and donate blood.
Right. That part.
Yeah, that part. So, good on the FDA.
And that's why I didn't put it on the list, because at first I read that, I was like, oh, thanks.
Yeah. The complete ban lasted until 2015, the total ban. And then it was only if you had not had sex for a full year.
Which sounds intentional.
Right. Then among the pandemic and blood shortages, it was 3 months.
Uh-huh. Still, good luck with that.
Right. And it's like, of course this is all self-disclosed. But, I find it deeply offensive personally. And it's like, yeah, no. Mm-mm.
Yeah, I've been straight up like, fuck you. You can't have my blood then.
And I just want to point out there was no sound scientific basis for this. It was all just bigotry.
Yeah, that's all.
Yep,
that's all it ever was.
Just homophobia. That's all this was.
Same as it ever was.
Because they screen blood. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Unbelievable.
Damn.
Anyway, questions have not been finalized, but we'll seek to determine if someone has had any new sexual partners within 3 months. Again, do we ask all the straight people? I don't know. I don't know who they ask what of, because I haven't donated blood in many years because of this.
Right. I believe I was 18. That's what that was. Or no, I was 19, because that's how old I was the last time I was someone who had not yet had sex with someone of the same sex.
So this isn't condescending at all, by the way. According to an FDA official, if someone has had any new sexual partners within 3 months of when they want to donate, they will be asked if they engaged in anal sex with those partners. As unprotected anal sex is the riskiest for HIV transmission. We know this. Those who did engage in anal sex with a new partner will be asked to wait 3 months to donate. It is still so... Anyway.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They screen blood because, you know what people do?
Lie.
Oh, yeah, they do. They do. So, I don't know, a dude who can't come out to himself, let alone his wife or his girlfriend, is probably not going to tell the truth on the questionnaire.
Right. Are you straight? Yes, I am. Pussy, 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 pussy.
Exactly. And then go ahead and give blood. Even though he may have had multiple partners that week.
That day.
And that's why we screen blood.
Yep.
But to continue to have these foolish, ridiculous, dehumanizing questions, specifically for gay men, problem for me. I don't know if it is for anyone, but I find it really repulsive.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still offended.
Whether or not, this is a quote, by the way, the whole reason is because this is a quote from a former blood technician in the American Journal of Managed Care. The whole reason is because they think men who sleep with men are at a higher risk of getting HIV. And this is part of the quote. Whether or not you donated blood, that blood is tested and verified and checked before it's even passed along. Just because I'm a gay man sleeping with another man does not make my blood any less clean. I think it stems from the 80s, which it does, when the virus first came out, when people didn't really understand it. You're just as likely to get HIV whether you're straight or gay. The HRC explained that because tests cannot be 100% accurate, the FDA has taken the approach of banning what it has deemed higher risk populations. But HRC says the policy as it currently stands is discriminatory, which it is, and does not treat persons with like risks in a similar way. Exactly. For example, a man who has had protected oral sex with another man once in the 3 months is currently barred from donating blood. Exactly. Yet a woman who has had unprotected sex with multiple partners over the same time frame with no knowledge of their personal histories remains in the donor pool.
So the chick that was on Maury for the 7th time trying to find her baby daddy, and each time she was on, there was a different pool of 5 men, none of which were the father. That bitch could give blood before I could.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm just, making sure I remember. That
is correct. Allegedly, the FDA will issue new rules in the next few months, so we'll keep an eye for those. It's good news that this is being challenged. It really is, because it's just so condescending to begin with. It's so ridiculous and so ugly, and and by the way, folks, people who know their status are much safer than people who don't.
Right.
Someone, whether they have once tested HIV positive or not, who is in care, who tests negative for the virus, cannot pass along the virus. So they're much safer sexual partners than those who have no clue and lie to themselves and everyone they sleep with.
Right. And we're forgetting that there's PrEP.
And there's PrEP. Yes, there is.
And you'd think that if we're actually looking to increase the pool of safe blood, we would also want to promote PrEP.
You would think.
No, because faggots use PrEP. So, and I want to go on record that neither one of us is kink shaming.
Oh, hell no.
Or slut shaming or any of that.
I'm shaming the FDA a little bit.
Exactly. Yeah, fuck that.
This took a long, long time, and we're still not there. We're still not there. It's like, no, you are the most dangerous population. It's like, really?
Right.
Really? Okay. Whatever. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
But anyway, it's only been mildly upgraded. If you didn't know, now you know. And they're looking at revising it a bit more, but they're still not going to take this down unless they ask those questions equally of everyone.
Right. So that was good news, huh?
Well, it's good news that they're revisiting that, because the new rule in 2015 still really did not go nearly far enough. It was still very condescending, and it still, left a lot of responsible potential blood donors out of the pool because of homophobia.
Yeah.
So, and because of nothing more than homophobia. Thank you. But yeah, so I put it in good news.
Okay. I'll take it.
Do you have a 15-minute fave?
I do.
Would you like to talk about it?
I would.
Okay, let's do that, and then we'll play it on the way out to the break.
Okay.
What do you got?
So this is just a fun little clubby tune. It's by The Blessed Madonna. That's not me fanning over Madonna. They're actually called The Blessed Madonna.
Okay, so this is someone else entirely.
Yes.
Good. Okay, good. I was like, wait a minute, what happened to my house?
Right. Not even the point.
Not her. This is an entirely different.
The Blessed Madonna is a whole different entity whatsoever.
Okay.
Their song is called Serotonin Moonbeams.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically about being out and having fun and feeling good and feeling happy and loving everybody. I'm pretty sure it's about doing Molly.
Probably.
But nonetheless, it is my 15-minute fave, and it's a fun song. So
I just want to point out I've been playing interesting Christmas music all morning, hoping he'd catch on, but not so. So go ahead.
So we're going to go out to break with Serotonin Moonbeams by The Blessed Madonna.
We'll be right back.
You had one too many coffees and your slippers of Versace in my daydream. Just to gain a little insight, I moved into your eyeliner and moonbeams. I bet your exes scarred your heart. Bet bitch, thunder, lightning, super frightening, yeah. Hit you with that bad bitch, thunder, lightning, super frightening, yeah. Hit you with that bad bitch, thunder, lightning, super frightening, yeah. Hit you with that bad bitch, thunder, lightning, super frightening, yeah.
And we're back.
We're back.
That was fun.
See?
I want you to choose a Christmas song for next week. We should have one.
I guess.
I mean, I have mine. I was playing mine for you.
I know. I don't have a Christmas
I have
song
had
that's
an
fitting.
obscure Christmas music library for many years.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Actually, I do have a Christmas song that would be considered a 15-minute fave. Okay. I got it in the chamber for next time.
All right, then.
I got you. I got you.
Okay, well, that's good news. All right. It's time for the cavalcade of nonsense.
Yay.
No. No, yeah.
That was a sarcastic. Yeah.
So this bit of news started as a text message the other day. A story I could have done without knowing, but of course it's, true.
Oh.
Behind Tuckums, or Tucker Carlson tonight, is Justin Wells, his executive producer since the beginning.
Don't hurt yourself.
Senior executive producer of Tucker Carlson tonight, Justin Wells, is an out gay man.
Uh-huh.
When we refer to the self-loathing, this is what we're talking about, kids.
Yep.
He's been with him since he debuted in 2018. This show is now the most watched on that network. Often on all of cable TV.
Mm-hmm.
Got there with their red meat obsession with sexuality and gender, from opposition to marriage equality to opposition to gender affirming care for minors. A graphic for that first show following Club Q screamed, "Stop sexualizing kids."
Yep.
With kids spelled out in a kindergarten font.
Yeah.
So it was Michelangelo Signorelli. Am I saying his name right? He's been around forever. And I know has this show, I think, on Sirius. Anyway, he interviewed some of Wells' current and former associates, revealing a synergistic relationship between the gay executive producer and his talent. They are two peas in a pod.
Ew.
It's a very clear manifestation of someone who showed their true colors. Yeah. He was a field producer for Greta Van Susteren. His then boyfriend at the time described a quiet dude who used to be unassuming.
Well,
If you would have told me in 2008 that Justin would be the executive producer of the #1 right-wing TV show in America, I would have said you're out of your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Another associate added, I don't know if he's just completely blinded by the money. It's mind-boggling. Wells is married. He and his husband share a home in New York City and a country house.
Is there an O in country in that particular? I'm sorry.
The property and I'm reading out of LGBTQ Nation. Our friend had originally sent us the actual interview. The preppy and sockless Carlson's obsession with gay stuff and his sometimes violent response to it is well documented. In 2007, he admitted on MSNBC to smashing a man's head into a bathroom wall after he bothered him in public restrooms. In 1991, at the height of the AIDS epidemic, he penned tributes in his Trinity College yearbook to Dan White, who, as we know, assassinated Harvey Milk. Also, infamous homophobe Senator Jesse Helms is apparently one of his, inspirations. In an interview on Fox with Carlson and Wells for the launch of their Tucker Carlson Originals documentary series, Wells left no doubt about the pair's synergy. They believe in what we're doing and have since we launched Tucker Carlson tonight. Didn't I just say of Fox executives, he said? They believe in what we're doing and have since we launched Tucker Carlson tonight. I bring it up because it's in the news, and I just bring it up to say it's stories like that make me wish there really was a hell, because there would be a special place in it for people like that. That's all.
I was just thinking about a phrase that I bring out every now and again in situations like this. You don't have to be black to be a coon.
Correct.
Period.
Yeah.
Because what else would you call this? Shucking and jiving for the oppressor.
Yeah. Like, I don't care how good the money is. You disgust me.
Yeah.
You fundamentally disgust me. Moving on. Oh, this one's yours too.
So
I love the headline.
Right. The headline is GOP Congress member says he was tricked into voting for marriage equality bill.
I swear I only paid that man to play chess with me. I had no idea. That's how I read. I'm sorry. That's how I read it. Tricked, I tell you. I didn't know she had a penis. Like that. Tricked. Of course you didn't, baby.
So Representative Scott Perry, Republican of Pennsylvania.
Oh, God, of course.
Claimed the Democrats tricked him into voting for the Respect for Marriage Act.
The Democrats are the tricky ones in this. What did they tell him he was voting for?
Well,
apple pie? Mom?
See,
what did they tell you, Scotty?
See, basically what he said was... It was when they were when they were talking about Oberville versus Hodges, they had interracial marriage in the bill. And so he was like, well, if you vote against the bill, then you're voting against interracial marriage. So that makes you a racist. So if you don't want to be a racist, you can't vote.
Well,
and
yeah.
He's saying it's the same thing in this case because there was the part about religious freedom in the bill. So he's like, if I'm going to vote for religious freedom, I have to vote for this bill because they put one of those woke quotas onto the bill. So it forces your vote.
When I walked, this is his quote with his interview with Tony Perkins from the Family Research. When I walked onto the floor, of course, the vote was on. I had to vote almost immediately, and I calculated incorrectly. Now, what math is he talking about?
I thought it was either yes or no.
That's having to count to 2, right? Okay, so I'm not sure where the calculation came in. Maybe that's the best way to put it, that my long-standing support of traditional marriage would be understood. And I didn't want to vote against interracial marriage. And that's the same trick they're playing now. Now they're going to offer some kind of amendment, but this actually literally destroys religious freedom and the ability to enforce religious freedom. He encouraged senators to, quote, not be fooled
Why do I feel like that was an accurate representation?
And vote against the legislation. 62 senators, including 12 Republicans, voted to invoke cloture on the bill, meaning it is no longer at the mercy of a filibuster, and the Senate is able to advance the legislation for a debate and vote.
Ha.
It tricks people, Perry said. You don't want to be a racist, but you're not against traditional marriage. You shouldn't have to make that choice. Yeah, that was the choice of the bill, and that's what's facing senators. And if they have not gone through it, they don't realize this is an absolute assault on religious liberty and the ability to enforce the freedom of religion.
I want to change him.
Fuck this dude, and we're the snowflakes. Moving on. You're in Pennsylvania, dude. You'll woulda look like a bigoted racist, so yeah, whatever.
I appreciate it.
Whatever, go to hell.
That was good. Oh, my.
Okay, so we have on and off watched We're Here. You love it. I love Bob the Drag Queen.
Yeah.
I haven't really forgiven Shangela for her little foray into Philadelphia, but that's a whole aside.
Right. Yeah, Bob is straight up the reason why I care about that show.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
But, so...
anyway, they're in season 3.
Yes.
Right? So what the show ostensibly does is go into, shall we say, redder areas of the country.
Yes.
And find, three people. Three people, because there's three of them. To work into a finale drag show, right?
Right.
There's some cute stories there. There's some stories helping people find their voice, helping them come out, whatever. But this season is not going as easily as the other two Kumbaya seasons did.
Right.
Or has not or did not.
Right. Because they're going into these small towns across America, they're always met with a little bit of resistance or pushback to, their presence. But because of the fact that, drag queens and drag queen story hours and anything that is not, cisgender heterosexual is basically fodder for political weaponization, they've been getting a lot of overt threats during the filming of this season. Apparently a whole truck with a Trump flag pulled up and folks were yelling at them and cursing at them and threatening them, and people have had visible weapons, and
of course they do.
Threats have been made against the show, the resulting drag shows and things like that. It's a lot more palpable. Bob, the drag queen, said, "I wish I could say that I'm shocked to see it happening, but I'm not shocked. Economics doesn't trickle down, but bullshit does. And when people at the top are spewing hatred and horrible, horrible rhetoric, why would you be shocked that it trickles down to every part of our community?"
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a shame that, because you can say what you will about, drag queens and the show or whatever, but it does appear that they're making a difference in the lives of these people, at least during the time that they're there, and
yeah.
Apparently, Bob said there were towns where the city council tried to have them run out of town completely.
Yep.
To shut the entire show down.
Yep.
He said there were towns where people threatened us with gun violence just for existing. And when we had towns where there was just no opposition at all because they travel far and wide. It's crazy. They had to beef up security. Apparently Granbury, Texas was particularly egregious. Bob straight up said, if I never go back to Granbury, Texas, it'll be too soon. That place was wild. And I can hear Bob saying, that place was wild. It was the first time I was like, these people really hate us. They do not want us here. I would have left if it was up to me.
Drag is not going to solve all our problems.
Well,
Drag is by far not all we are as a community. It's one art form within queer culture.
right.
Unfortunately, it feels like in some ways it's become shorthand for being queer.
Yeah.
And, drag queens do not represent all of the community.
Right.
Again, it's fun, it's farce, it's over the top humor generally.
Right.
And artistry.
And one could argue was born as an act of resistance.
And it was born as an act of resistance. Drag is not going to solve all of our problems.
Nope.
Maybe not any of them. Although it can be argued, straight people love to go to drag shows. But, then I know lots and lots of queer people who call it gay minstrel and will never attend a drag show because they're like, no, I'm sorry, they don't represent me at all. They're the reason my neighbors are laughing.
Right.
And they're laughing at us, not with us. It's hard. It's hard because I was a drag queen.
Right.
I was a headliner.
It's true.
And
I've carried your stuff into many a dressing room.
yeah, and and it was also something that didn't quite fit for me because the drag was the boy clothing.
Right.
The drag was all of that. Was all the expectation of the world. Putting on a fabulous dress and makeup was not drag for me, and that's where it got confusing. And a lot of our girls figure themselves out that way. And start in drag, and some of them still perform, and they're my friends, and I will go to their shows.
Right.
And that said, just to really boil down the thing, just so people are like, what are you talking about? Because you won't probably find it anywhere on Google. We had a kerfuffle. We had a big kerfuffle that wound up with, our friend Nellie being fired as the liaison for the mayor's office in the city of Philadelphia. And there was a lot of tension around racism simmering in our gay bars, and a tape was released of one particular bar owner using the N-word repeatedly. He didn't know that he was being recorded. It was, I think after the bar closed, and he used the word a lot.
Right.
Which is not the first time he learned that word or used it.
Oh, I'm sure.
And that had just happened.
Right. Just come to light, yeah.
And Shangela, I think, performed like that night or the next night.
I think it was that night.
And instead of, fine, get your coin. You signed a contract. You're already here. Of course you're going to perform. I get it.
Right, because who knows how long that gig had been booked.
But maybe you're not Jesus. Maybe you don't know all the history behind all of this or this particular club owner. And maybe you don't get to come into my city and sing Kumbaya for me or anyone else. Shangela could have just kept the whole situation out her mouth, but she didn't. She told people that they should, basically it's time to heal.
I have two things to mention with that situation.
Okay.
Thing one, okay, fine, yeah. She probably had that gig booked months and months in advance.
Oh, I imagine she had to.
So that is what that is.
Yeah.
In order to enter the building, you had to go through the wall of protesters.
Brown bodies holding signs, protesting. Yes, she did.
Holding the speaker that was playing the audio of him saying the N-word over and over and over again.
Yes, Shangela walked past that to get to her dressing room.
Right, you got to do that.
Yep.
So that is what that is. The reason why I feel the way that I feel about her now is not even because of that night. It's when she came back to the same bar.
Did he still own it when she came back?
Yes.
There you go.
Yes.
Yeah, on her healing tour.
So it's like I always say, if you say something racist or homophobic or transphobic, that doesn't necessarily make you a racist, homophobe, or transphobe. But once you are alerted to the fact that your behavior is harmful and then you choose to do it again, that's what changes things. So when she came back, she knew what the situation was. And
or should have, yeah.
And she came anyway. Because by that point, it was national news, I do believe.
I think so.
So that's why I feel the way I do. You chose to come back.
Right. Yeah, and I don't hate Shangela. I see a tone-deaf drag queen who thinks
I don't hate Shangela.
She has a more intellectual contribution to make than what she does.
Right. Shangela is a talented individual.
Absolutely talented.
And, that is undeniable. Apparently, she kicked ass on Dancing with the Stars.
Fine, I'm sure.
But I have zero respect
She's a dancer.
for her. I have zero respect for her.
I don't have any either.
That's all I'm saying. I have zero respect for her.
I just thought I would, again, is anything cut and dried, black and white and easy? No. No right. Situation is, especially when we're talking about, the intersection of race and gender and orientation, which is where we live, which is why we talk about it, which all of that is involved in this entire situation.
Right.
Was this also one of our more responsible bar owners? Some would argue yes. Did he put more money into the community than others? He did. And Hitler loved his dog. I mean, I'm not suggesting this bar owner came anywhere near Hitler. I'm saying nobody is all one thing. Nobody's all bad.
Sit, mein Fluffy. Oh, shit. Oh, thank you for that.
You're welcome. I just, I found her to be toned. Come in, get your coin, and keep your mouth shut about what's happening because you ignored it to walk through it. You walked through a picket line to put your lashes on and put your ass on stage in the first place. You walked past all that like it wasn't happening.
Right.
So why'd you talk about it? Why didn't you keep pretending?
Right.
And entertain us with the art of illusion. Anyway, it sucks that of course they're being met with an ugly environment because there's an ugly environment out there and it is escalating.
Right.
And, maybe they will have to rethink what and how they do. I don't know. But yes, of course they are less safe. I hope that they, with all that HBO money, they employ the security they need to keep themselves safe.
I'm sure.
But again, drag is not the entirety of the queer world. It's a very tiny, small microcosm. Drag and drag culture is a tiny, tiny, tiny part of life and queer life, even in a big city like Philadelphia. It isn't all that's going on.
Nope.
It's, one art form. Just one. And, I'm not condemning drag. I'm also, I also... It ain't ever going to be Jesus.
Drag is not Jesus.
Yeah, and I think we need to protect Bob the drag queen at all costs.
Now that I can stand behind.
There we go. Yeah, so anyway. It turned into a little rant, didn't it? I told you I only paused my rant from last week. I feel better somehow.
Well, good. I'm glad.
So,
this disappointed me.
Me too.
We just can't have nice things.
But I kind of like it when they tell us who they are. Just raise your hand so we know.
Exactly.
Helena Bonham Carter. First, she was speaking out in support of Johnny Depp.
Right.
And then, for some reason, we rolled JK into the mix. In her anti-cancel culture rant. Okay. This was a recent interview with the Times UK. Bonham Carter compared people being held accountable for their behavior as a witch hunt.
Of course.
Do you ban a genius for their sexual practices? There would be millions of people who, if you looked closely enough at their personal life, you would disqualify them. You can't ban people. I hate cancel culture. It has become quite hysterical, and there's a kind of witch hunt and a lack of understanding. What?
Exactly.
According to her, Johnny Depp certainly went through it. However, now that the trial between him and his ex, Amber Heard, is complete, she believes he's completely vindicated. I think he's fine now. Totally fine. All right, whatever. And of course, of Heard, not that because we don't like canceling people. Mm-hmm. She said, "My view is that Amber Heard got on that Me Too pendulum," she said. That's the problem with these things, that people will jump on the bandwagon because it's the trend and to be the poster girl for it. And then she spoke out about the backlash against proud transphobe J.K. Rowling. It's horrendous, a load of bollocks. I think, I'm not going to do a British accent because, Medway pride. I think she has been hounded, the actor said. It's been taken to the extreme. The judgmentalism of people.
That's not a word.
What about the judgmentalism of J.K. Rowling? She's allowed her opinion. Yeah, well, she's talking about real lives and there are real consequences for us, but okay.
Yeah.
She's allowed her opinion, particularly if she's suffered abuse, not by trans women. Her abuse was not suffered at the hand of trans women, but okay. Everybody carries their own history of trauma and forms their opinions from that. Yeah, honey, I know. We got a whole land of broken toys. From that trauma, and you have to respect where people come from and their pain. I do respect their pain. I don't respect when they turn it around and weaponize it against people who did nothing to them.
That part.
You don't all have to agree on everything. That would be insane and boring. She's not meaning it aggressively.
Bullshit.
She's just saying something out of her own experience. And then she claimed, no, she's not. Her problem is with men. Cis men. Not trans women.
Right.
Cis men. J.K. Rowling does have some serious issues with cis men.
She needs to take it up with them.
Yeah, but she has decided to make us her scapegoat. And she's said some ugly things with her large platform. And it has been cause of a lot of pain in our community.
Yep.
And, anyway, Bonham Carter, teaching us more about non-judgmentalism and kindness, said of Daniel Radcliffe and Emma Watson, who have condemned the anti-trans rhetoric, I think they're very aware of protecting their own fan base and their generation. It's hard. One thing with the fame game is that there's an etiquette that comes with it. I don't agree with talking about other famous people.
Like you just fucking did?
Yeah, like that. Like that. Why do I picture her swinging a martini glass while she's saying this shit?
She probably is.
Right? I'm picturing like Cruella de Vil taking a long drag off of a cigarette and swirling her martini. According to Bonham Carter of Rowling's detractors, well, they're just jealous. No, we're not. If she hadn't been the most phenomenal success, the reaction wouldn't be so great. No, the reaction. Okay, well that might be fair. That might be fair. If she didn't have a platform, nobody would care if she was just screaming at herself.
Right. She'd just be another turf on Twitter.
So I think, there's a lot of envy, unfortunately, and the need to tear people down that motors a lot of this canceling and schadenfreude. Yeah, that must be it.
Yeah, sure.
Not because it's hate speech on its face, but we're all just jealous.
Right.
So she should really stick to scripts because she's not so big with the thinky stuff.
Yeah, no.
It's not her strong suit.
Don't go off book, girl. Don't go off book.
Seriously. And while I could spend quite a bit of time on this one, I don't really care to because, no. Like, okay, now we know where you stand. Got it. Didn't care before, don't care now. You don't get it.
Right.
I got it. You don't get it. You don't understand why these things matter. You don't understand that there are real people being harmed by this backward and ill-placed double down. JK keeps doing. Got it. The gender crits have a point in your book. Got it.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on. Let's, that was the cavalcade.
Yeah.
Ooh, mommy needs to refresh her wine and take one more break, and then let's cleanse our palate.
Yes.
We'll be right back.
Hey, I'm Hannah, and I'm the host of Murder Bucket, the true crime podcast. I started this podcast in 2020 during the height of COVID because I was bored and needing something to do, and I also love all things true crime and wanted to share that love and interest with you. Some things that we've done on this podcast are gone on a cold case road trip, discovered interesting rituals of different cults, and heard about some crimes that were food related. Join me every Tuesday as I share with you lesser known crimes and occasionally some weird stuff. During the first episode of each month, I cover true crime news, so don't skip the end. You can listen anywhere you download podcasts. Also, be sure to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Hey everybody, I'm Amber.
And I'm Maddie.
And we're Witches Talking Tarot. And this season we've got for you ghosts, cryptids, conspiracies. Oh my.
Check out what role we cast Emma Robertson on our myth episodes this season.
Yes. And in addition to our myths, we will be bringing you the holidays because we may or may not have missed one this last season. I guess you'll have to listen to the last episodes to check it out. And then catch all our new episodes coming up every Tuesday and Thursday on your favorite podcast platforms and see us on YouTube.
Come and sit with us for a spell.
And we're back.
We're back.
All right, I have just enough wine to get through this. And then we're going to go sit in front of the fire again. Okay. So Amy Schneider, Jeopardy champion, became the first trans contestant ever not only to qualify for the Tournament of Champions, but she won the $250,000 prize.
Word.
I know.
She's the champ of all champs.
She is champ among women and certainly champ among trans people. She had a 40-game winning streak, which broke records. And then she came back for the Tournament of Champions, and she won.
Yay.
I think it's awesome.
It is awesome.
I love that she hasn't just fallen into obscurity. She actually did testify in front of Ohio lawmakers against a bill to block trans youth from accessing gender-affirming medical care.
Work.
And that would require teachers to out trans kids. So she's also she's learning the work, and she's starting to do the work as well. And she says she's going to continue doing that and keep being in places where people like me haven't been before.
Work.
It's a powerful thing to do. Yes, it is. And Jeopardy, I'll remind our listeners, is a non-gendered game. Thank God.
Yeah, really.
And she kicked ass.
She really did.
Again.
She really did.
Yeah, we learn a lot of trivia while we're not being accepted by our peers.
The only exception
we know stuff
being that exhibition game.
Well, that was that was just for fun,
but that was like
and that was
ridiculously
super hard.
difficult.
It was like all the questions that they were deemed too hard and too obscure for anyone ever to answer. Those were all the questions.
Right.
Nobody did exceptionally well, but
right.
Somebody won, but they weren't playing for money. But it was fun. The exhibition game was fun.
It was fun.
It was just fun. It was
but God damn, it was hard.
Yeah, but good on Amy Schneider. Yeah. I think that's cool. That helped cleanse my palate.
Well, good.
You know what I forgot to put in here? So there was a story in the Daily Beast about the Great British Bake Off.
Oh, I know what you're going to say.
Yeah. And I've been trying to put my finger on why I'm just sort of disgruntled. It turns out a lot of folks do not like Matt Lucas.
And we're two of them.
We are, but yeah, and I liked it better. I liked the earlier years better. When it was the two co-hosts.
Noel and
Right. Noel Fielding has been there, you know, the whole time we've watched it. But Sandy.
yes.
I loved her.
I know.
She just felt right for the show. Matt Lucas never has.
Yeah, she wasn't trying too goddamn hard.
That's part of it.
All the time.
I don't know how much of the quote unquote comedy Matt Lucas is writing, but like this writer at least attributes the racist nonsense from the Mexican show to Matt. And you know, there's a whole lot of speculation in this article, born of really not liking the dude. But I was like, okay, he might be the problem.
I mean, let's just say he's not making the show better.
He's not making the show better. No.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, so there are petitions to have him fired and replaced. One suggestion was in this article was Stanley Tucci and his wife, who was British. Like, they'd be great.
Right, but as long as we're not talking about getting rid of Noel, because
Yeah, Noel's fine.
I'll be upset if they get rid of Noel.
I won't be upset.
I'll be upset.
I mean, I won't be upset. He's fine.
He's part of the reason why I like the show.
Okay, well, that's fair. I have a neutral feeling about him. I know he was not the one I liked. I liked Sandy. Noel's okay. He doesn't actively annoy me like Matt Lucas actually does.
Yeah.
He actually does. I find him just annoying.
Even when he's standing there silent, which is rare.
Right. So somebody put words to it. So it was like, oh, not just us.
Right.
And I had no idea, but there were actually, petitions like.
We should put the petition
make
in the
this his
episode
last.
notes.
I mean, we could. In the event that you also have watched and went, what the hell is she even talking about? That little bald dude is annoying. There you go.
Yeah.
Apparently, others think so as well.
Yes.
So, yeah. And maybe he is the trouble. I don't know. Because I really liked it a lot more earlier than I did this last season.
Yep.
And, especially if he is writing this nonsense, then get rid of him.
Right.
Because we still haven't heard anything about the Mexico episode.
Nope.
And really something should have been said because,
Not a good look.
Ew.
Not a good look. So when you went to bed last night, I stayed up a little bit and I watched Torch Song Trilogy.
Good God, I know I've seen it. It's been so long. I would need a refresher.
I'd watch it again with you.
Okay.
It's a movie I've seen many, many times. The first time, and the reason why it's in my sphere anyway, and I'm not sure if this was done cynically or not, but in high school in forensics, I wanted to do dramatic interpretation.
Okay. You do, girl.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And the chick who was my coach had graduated the year before. She was in college. And she gave me a section from Torch Song Trilogy, from the play.
A monologue?
No, it was a dialogue.
A
between
dialogue.
Arnold and his mother.
Okay.
I had no context. I was like a junior in high school. I had no context for any of this.
Okay.
Maybe I was a senior. Yeah, I was a senior. I had no context for any of this stuff. Like objectively, I probably wasn't good at it. Like when I dropped that piece and did other things, I did much better. But I think because I was visibly not straight, she was like, "Oh, here." Either she thought I would be good at it, or, "Oh, you can do this, girl." But either
One of them, yeah.
But either way, I had nothing to draw from.
Okay.
But for context of the selection that I had, I did go and read the entire play. And then I found out there was a movie, so I went and rented the movie.
Okay.
And so I've seen the movie like 11,000 times. It's a fabulous film. I watched it for the first time with my father.
Interesting.
Who made a point of going, yuck, when with the first kiss.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever. That memory came back as I was watching the film. But it's a poignant film. It's obviously it's a film based on a play.
Okay.
Like there's a way to do that where it doesn't feel like a play, and then there's this way, which I'm not saying good.
Yeah, we have talked about the way that stories are told and the way that they're written and how they don't always convert.
Right. And that's not to suggest that this was not done well, because it was. Like the same way that Fences is like someone filming a play.
It is. But yet, like Jeffrey, the movie, like I was in the play. I mean, I was in the play. It was community theater, but I have done that play and studied that play, and I think it's a play. It's minimal set, minimal props, and it's really, driven by the actors.
Well, I think that's the difference.
And the story. So when they tried to set it against New York with all the backdrop and all I don't think it transferred well, even though there were brilliant actors in the roles.
You know what I think the difference is? When it is a play, the story is told and moved forward by the dialogue, just because
the dialogue moves it, right.
Right. Now, when you make it into a movie, it comes down to, do you think that the dialogue is enough to keep the story moving? And you do visual things to, give the time and place and to give movement from scene to scene, but you're not doing that to boost the dialogue or to replace the dialogue, if that makes sense.
Right, but I think too often what we wind up with is a cacophony.
Right, well, that's what I'm saying.
Because there are two different ways to tell a story. There's the visual way of filmmaking, where a lot of the story is told with the background and the props and that you don't have in the theater.
Right.
So it's differently done and differently told. But when you try to take something made for the stage and turn it into the medium of film, I mean, I've seen it done well.
Right.
But I've also seen it where it's just way too much.
Right. Well, it's like...
Because you do all the things. We have all the things.
Are you adding the visual components to boost the dialogue, or are you creating it? Like, are you making a backdrop for the dialogue, or is the dialogue a backdrop for your visuals? I think is what it comes down to. Like, where are your priorities when you're making the film?
And how much of the story does the background tell already?
Like, because some people don't know how to make a movie where the dialogue is the star. Like, they just don't.
They're different mechanisms.
Right.
I mean, as I look at it, they're different mechanisms. There's different ways to tell a story.
Right. I agree.
Yeah. So anyway.
Torch
Song Trilogy was obviously a play.
Right. In that it was very reliant on
the dialogue. Okay.
And the way that the style, like he had a certain style in the way that he chose the words that he chose to tell the story.
Mm-hmm.
And what was interesting to me, so the story takes place in the mid to late 70s up to 1980.
Right.
In New York.
So it is pre-AIDS.
Right.
But post-Stonewall.
Correct. In that sweet spot, as it were.
It is. That was the sweet spot, really, in so many ways. For queer culture and...
Right. Yeah, because, like, there's the bar... was it New York or was it San Francisco?
I thought it was... I don't know. I don't remember.
I want to say it was New York. Anyway, so like, the main gay bar that had like the back room.
Right.
And, there was a sign above the entrance that says management not responsible.
Mm-hmm.
You go back there, you know what you're going back there for, you know who's going to be back there. Well, you don't, but that's kind of the point. And, that is what that is.
But everybody knows what they're expecting when they go through this threshold.
Right. Right. And it's there for that
Cross this threshold.
Right. It's there for that purpose. So it was interesting seeing it with the contemporary eyes that I have. And there were notes of, elements of self-loathing, elements of, I have to hide, elements of I can't have this, I won't have this, there's never going to be a world where I have, that permeated the film. And it was interesting because knowing what I know now, it felt very real.
Mm-hmm.
And it kept making me think of Boys in the Band.
Okay. Now, Boys in the Band is set pre-Stonewall.
Correct. And it is also of its time.
Absolutely.
And I was just wondering, like, I don't know, but it felt, I guess, was it considered a real portrayal at the time of gay people?
Honey, I was in diapers.
I'm not asking you for a first-hand account. I'm just saying,
well, good, because Goo Goo Gaga.
But
there's my first-hand account.
But you read things. I was wondering, like, do we know how real of a portrayal that was heralded as at the time?
I think when it was written, it was groundbreaking. Okay. By the time it was released, it was dated.
Right.
Because it was right there on the cusp of a lot of change, a sea change.
Right.
When it was written, when it was first, I think it was intimate, and I think it was, real. But it was, one bit of storytelling. But yeah, I think that was real.
And I guess I made the comparison because I like Torch Song Trilogy. I don't like Boys in the Band.
Okay, that's fair.
And that's accepting both works as a product of their time and being of their time.
One of the things that I say, and again, I'm speaking as having been alive, for the latter part of all of that, but not being cognizant of it. So more the accounts of others, the accounts of my elders, many of them gone now. When a lot of my now dead queer elders told me stories of what it was like in the 50s and 60s, we go back to that place that I try to take people to. And again, I am not firsthand, but I heard a lot of it firsthand. Well, like, if you could be in the closet, you were. It wasn't even a question. This idea of hanky codes, this idea of signals and symbols, and that was born of the necessity of not getting arrested, not having your name put in the paper,
right?
Not, being humiliated, being thrown from your apartment, losing your job, and being completely ostracized from your entire family. That was queer culture. Now, there were a precious few who were out anyway, who were so flamboyant or otherwise
they couldn't be in
off the charts. They were never going to be in the first place, and they were the real trailblazers, and they were the real fighters, and they were the real, they had to form their own way to make a living. They had to form, the things that they did to survive, because there was literally no support.
Right.
So I think Boys in the Band was written from that place of, we know each other, we carry all this with us, and, this was, again, fortunate. We are fortunate enough to live in a large city where we can have friends, we can know each other. There are enough of us around that this friend group is even possible, but it's still the context of the time, I think. And again, by the time, I'm not remembering. Was it a play and then a movie, or a movie and then a play? I think
it was a play then a movie.
Right. So I believe when the play came out, groundbreaking. By the time the movie was released, dated.
Right.
And what happened in the middle there, I believe, Stonewall. Right. And the lead up to Stonewall.
That was the, yeah.
You know, so it I guess it felt a little old.
Right.
And I'm sure it does to you. Where, you know, Torch Song Trilogy is, you know, really talking about when everybody finally felt a lot freer and culture was just bursting wide open.
Right. But there was still that level of repression throughout the entire thing.
Because it absolutely still existed. I mean, we you know, really, we got a decade of kind of, you know, fun and decadence. And, you know, we were like wild little children running around, finally saying who we were. And then AIDS.
Right.
And then the stigma of AIDS.
Right.
And, you know, the majority in the culture saying, that's what you get.
Right. With your happy free ass.
Right. Right. So, yeah, interesting. I'll have to watch it with you because, like I said, it's been years.
I'll watch it again with you.
I seem to remember a drag queen. I seem to remember the setting of a gay bar.
Yes. Harvey Fierstein plays Arnold Beckoff, whose full-time job in the movie is playing a character named Virginia Ham.
Right.
In the club. And Ken Page is also in the movie playing Murray, Arnold's friend, who's there's a queen in there named Bertha Venetian, but that wasn't her.
Right.
Yeah, Bertha Venetian was a white woman, which I was like, hey.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, well, we can watch it when we're done this.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll watch it again.
But anyway, where were you trying to go?
Oh, no, just that, you know, it made me think of Boys in the Band, and I was doing like a comparison between the two, and it was just interesting to me that, you know, Torch Song Trilogy came out on top in the comparison, but I think part of that is just, I like it more. And while self-loathing and is an element of Torch Song Trilogy, it's not like the crux of the story where it kind of is in Boys in the Band.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. It was just
well, they were two very different in a lot of ways, even though the same people lived through both decades.
Right.
They were very different decades. If you came of age in the mid-60s, that was very different than coming of age in the mid-70s. You know, truly, that span, you know, that 10-year span changed everything. A lot of things that didn't change. So, yeah, there was still self-loathing. Yeah, most of us grew up in families that didn't understand us, accept us, or want us to be queer. You know, so we all had that universal experience, but we came out into a slightly different world.
Right. I was also thinking about the fact that when I first watched that movie, I was a senior in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And where I was in my personal timeline, like had I come out to myself yet?
I don't know.
If I did, it was very recent, or it was at the same time.
Okay.
But I wasn't out to anyone else for another 2 years. And here I am watching this gay film. You know, I think it had more of an effect on me than I thought it did, watching it as an adult and remembering how I was feeling when I watched it the first time. You know?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you had a lot less life experience the first time.
Right. So that was the other thing. It was there were so many elements that I didn't understand.
Well, nothing about Boys in the Band feels celebratory.
Right.
At all. We must slog through life as this.
Right.
And try not to kill each other in the process.
Right.
Or something. I mean, that was just, yeah. I don't think either one. They're both films, first of all.
Well, yeah.
They're both little snippets of time. They're both set in very kind of idyllic settings to be queer in the first place. I mean, how big a film would you have had about, well, I mean, well, if you had an actual film about like some dude in Oklahoma, it would be some dude sitting in a room jerking off. That would be the movie.
That film does exist. It's just on Pornhub.
Right. But it's like, you know, this is Larry circa 1966.
Well,
you know, farmhand by day, right hand by night. Like that.
But in both cases, bag balm is being used.
Well, whatever, yeah. But you got to take it to New York City to even have a story.
Right.
You know, in a place where it was possible to figure each other out. I mean, like that happened in Philadelphia too, but again, it was also very quiet and underground.
Right.
It was also like happening, you know, in plain sight kind of thing, but that is my understanding of it.
Right.
That is my understanding of it from a lot of firsthand accounts. You know, like we found each other and we like knew each other. And I have even said, you know, the early 80s, we had the addition of AIDS and the stigma around AIDS and trying to figure out what it was safe to do or not do or where it was coming from or who had it or who, you know, and friends dropping and
Right.
All of that happening. And, you know, we were still not mainstream. It was still, I mean, that's how my life took the trajectory it did. A lot of it was fear. A lot of it was, Jesus Christ, I don't know what to do.
Right.
Or how to navigate this or, you know, how to figure any of it out.
Right.
And so many of those people are gone. Just gone.
Oh, yeah.
But it was still similar. Was the self-loathing there? Yes. We were, you know, we were raised in elementary schools where we were certainly not celebrated.
Shit.
We didn't exist. You didn't talk about it. You were called name. I mean, like you were identified. But, you know, the sassy, you know, glee high school kid who boldly speaks up to everyone and says, well, so what if I am? That was not real. Not here. That wasn't real.
I mean, that was me at 20, but
Well,
that was
I mean,
20
that was, you
in
know,
the 90s, which is, yeah. And I knew I was taking my life in my hands and I did it too.
I mean, right. Like by the time we were of age, but what, you didn't mouth off in high school?
Hell no.
That's all I'm saying.
Right.
Like,
No,
it
I
was
hear you,
just,
yeah.
you know, so there was still all that stigma. There was still all of that, you know, kind of figuring out who's who. But there were, you know, we had bars. They were a very different situation than they were in the 1960s. That's for sure.
Right.
You know, thank God for the 70s in a lot of ways because we had a lot more places. But, you know, I've told you the story. The walk to like there was no problem finding parking in Center City at night because everyone left at 5 o'clock. So, you know, Woody's was right where it is at 13th and Walnut, but the walk there could be precarious.
Right. Right.
Who was riding by in what car screaming what? Whether or not they had baseball bats or something to throw. I mean, that was real in the city of Philadelphia in the early 80s. And you didn't have the foot traffic. You didn't have the people around. You didn't have any kind of vibrant nightlife. So, you know, once you got within the walls,
Right.
it's good. But right outside,
And, you know, I told you I've had bottles thrown at me from moving cars in broad daylight. So,
right. Right. I mean, we've come so far and not.
right. Exactly.
You know, and then we have this little contingent trying to take us back there.
Yeah.
The hell. The hell.
Exactly.
I don't know anybody who was there who wants to go back there. I don't know anybody who thought, well, things were better then.
Right. Exactly.
That was also better.
Sure.
So, you know, if we have any voice in the matter, which hopefully we do,
Right.
these people are going to show up for who they are and we'll show them for who they are and we'll get past this quickly and somehow come to a little better place, even than we were.
Fingers crossed.
More recently, yeah. Back to the Obama years, but better.
I would love that.
Right? But better. That's my hope.
Did any of this cleanse anyone's palate?
Yeah, did we cleanse any palates? I don't know. I had wine to drink and we were just talking, so I don't even know how long we've talked. It's what we do anyway. We just put microphones in front of our faces to have these conversations. Thank you for joining us. You've been listening to Full Circle,
The podcast.
I am Martha Madrigal.
And I am Charles Tyson Jr.
We love you. We appreciate you. Wherever you are listening to us in the world, keep shining.
Bye, everyone. Full Circle is a Never Scared Productions podcast, hosted by Charles Tyson Jr. and Martha Madrigal, produced and edited by Never Scared, executive produced by Charles Tyson Jr. and Martha Madrigal. Our theme and music is by the Jingleberries. All names, pictures, audio, and video clips are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of their respective copyright holder.